Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, January 5th, 2016. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. In his New Year's address to the nation entitled The Quest for Improved Life and Living in Challenging Times, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves called on citizens to discard negativism. The leader of the nation says despite the challenges of life, living, work and production, one must reflect and pledge to do better.
Is that ahead of us are challenges, some known and some not yet known. But we resolve to meet successfully whatever challenges with God's grace and in communion with each other. So for the year 2016, I urge that we adopt a positive attitude to our lives and living, that we discard negativism and any sense of hopelessness or helplessness. We have a lot that is going good for us, and a better harvest is ahead. But we must embrace new and better attitudes to life, living, work, and production. Each of us has a positive role to play.
The Prime Minister further indicated that workers and employers must be on what he described as a national crusade to have a more respectful attitude toward work, which helps to develop the nation.
Too often, some workers treat their employers as persons against whom hostilities and anti-business activities, including sabotage, are to be waged. Some workers, albeit a minority, are deliberately unproductive and lazy. We must speak the truth on these matters. We must also say truthfully that too often also some managers or owners of enterprises treat workers disrespectfully and with disdain. We cannot properly develop our enterprises and our nation with these terrible managerial or worker attitudes at our places of work. In the year 2016, we all must redouble our efforts to engender better and more productive attitudes to work and management. We should promote the enhancement in attitudes to work and production as a national crusade. This is something which radio and television should promote.
With some $200 million owed to the government in taxes, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is calling on delinquent persons to pay up. The Prime Minister, in his address to the nation, explained that such discrepancies hinder the economic progress of the country.
Some $200 million are owed in arrears of taxes of all categories, plus the interest and penalties. Some big businesses, including a few with significant cross-border trading, do not pay all of their due taxes. Own-account businesses, including professionals, are notorious in not paying their fair share of taxes. In all of this too, it is to be noted that the compliance rate for VAT is falling. A significant number of property owners, including in certain geographical areas, are not paying their property taxes. And many owners of motor vehicles are not paying their motor vehicle licenses. These are also driving their vehicles uninsured.
The Finance Minister appeals to delinquent persons to pay up and for tax administrators to be firm but fair in the execution of their duties.
We induce problems which we can easily avoid. But we have it within ourselves to leverage our strengths and possibilities, including our bountiful seascape and landscape, and our people's resilience and creativity to do better. So let us be grateful for our blessings and work in concert with each other to uplift our lives, living and production. Let us renew our quest to improve our conditions of life and living in these challenging times. With faith, hope, love and productive labor, we will succeed. In this mighty venture, government at all levels must lift its game markedly. So too must our citizens and residents. Each of us must daily pose this query. Ask not what St. Vincent and the Grenadines can do for you. Ask what you can do for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And having asked that question, then do something productive and positive for ourselves, for yourself individually, and for our country. On behalf of the government, of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and on my own behalf, I wish everyone a successful, productive, and uplifting New Year 2016.
Outlining some of his party's strategies as they continue to challenge the results of the December 9th general elections, NDP leader Anin Eustace says besides the court system, they will also use the streets and spend little time in Parliament to ensure that they get redress for what he claims was a contaminated election.
Continue the process in terms of our meetings and rallies and the different things we do in terms of protesting the results of elections, and we determine how we also treat the Parliament in that case.
Okay.
Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because you can be out of Parliament and go into Parliament for 5 minutes and be out 10 minutes later.
Okay.
So we know what the rules are, and we'll deal in accordance with the rules, but we're certainly not going to spend.
Eustace encouraged those who are feeling despondent about the election results to never give up hope in fighting for justice. He says it's necessary to impart the values of integrity and even-handedness so that people can have confidence in the system.
The kind of corruption that we have in the system, our system will collapse if we continue as it is. Not only the system, parliamentary system collapse, but our economy will also collapse. And that's what our people live by. Our values are collapsing because you now begin to accept wrong as right. No society.
And in the next election, the same thing happens. And the next, what do we say? Just
therefore, you have no system.
So, yeah.
All you have is a corrupt process. And those who try to hide behind it and go, oh, well, done, gone, so, and that kind of talk.
Okay.
What's wrong with them? We got to keep the issue constantly before the people of this country to ensure some victory for us at the end of that process. That's what I ask you to do. Have confidence. It is for us to do the kind of work, legal and otherwise, that is necessary, illegal and political, which gives support to ensuring that we have a judgment in our favor.
Some supporters of the NDP and other persons continue to picket outside the electoral office against what they claim was an unfair general election process. SVG-TV's news team spoke to some of these persons on the picket line yesterday afternoon.
This election here, we want it strong. That's why I come in here every day. If I have $1, I come in town. And that will make me feel comfortable. Thank you very much.
What constituency are you from?
I'm from New Orange Hill.
So that's North Windmud?
Because another 5 years under his government is wickedness and pressure. And me intend to be that. He stepped down.
We are at the brink where our democracy could get lost. Okay? You cannot tell me that the performance of some politicians in the last election bears any relation to a free and fair election. Even the Commonwealth itself admits that we should have, by implication they're saying our electoral office is not, what was it? Independent. Then if that is the case, how can we have a free and fair election? That alone should make people hit the streets. And one of my colleagues here said it's beyond party politics. I believe it. I am not a member of the New Democratic Party at all. And I would like others to see it just like that. It is not a political party business.
My name is Ninja. I think the better team, and NDP do have the better team. And they told me that I should be singing for Ralph because I resemble Ralph. But let me tell them one thing. I'm a black man to heart. My grandfather was the blackest man in Mesopotamia, and I do not like this ULP government, and I'm putting it to you that democracy will rule.
I see the passion in your eyes. Why is that passion there? Why is that passion?
Because of the poor people in this country. There are too many poor people, and we are doing this for our country, our children, not for party.
You calling for fresh election?
Because the time is very hard, miss. I have a daughter home, she can't get no work. And Mr. Eustace is a very nice man to we, and we need him
to run the election because we know he have a better team, and we know that he will help us in any ways and any means.
I know I want justice, right? Me now what a way. Me have children for my grandchildren, and me say go get great grand again just now. So all we have to do give it justice. No hungry power. We don't want no hungry power, man. We are with justice. If we give it justice, we find it now. Good with the components we all got.
Hence, we need our justice in this country. Time enough for we to get our justice. Our children is crying out, and we can't take it no more. We need justice, peace. We need proper peace and proper justice.
People are suffering is your placard. Why are you out here on the front line?
Because we need justice. We need justice here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. To me, from 2001, we never had a free and fair election. The election was stolen, and that's the reason why I'm out here. We need to have a fresh election. People hardly could pay the light and the water bill. Almost every month, light and water cut in.
You see all these people coming here every day? They just saying coming here, so they're coming here for justice, and we need justice because the election it wasn't right. If I was wrong once I stepped down. You might just small crowd coming every day, but it's very effective. You know what we're doing here? For the outside wall, I get a phone call from Canada and St. Lucia last night and saying holy faith, holy faith. I am telling these people here today, holy faith and holy faith for fresh election.
In his New Year's message to the nation, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says the general elections are over and it is necessary for Vincentians to get on with the business of building the country.
There has been for some an unsettling and disturbing period. For me, and indeed for the overwhelming majority of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the elections are over. The Unity Labour Party has won, and we must get on, all of us, with our lives and with the efforts of building better lives for ourselves and a better country. In respect of those for whom dissatisfaction is their permanent lot and disruption their permanent tactic, I urge them to reconsider their part of folly and join the rest of us in meaningful nation building. I assure everyone, though, that a recalcitrant minority will never be able to divert a determined people and their government from the path of peace, orderliness, progress, and prosperity. More specifically, no one will be permitted to trample upon law and order under the guise of an infantile and wholly unpopular political protest of absolutely no merit.
In a political system which was not really designed for a society like that of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Queen's Counsel Parnell Campbell stated that a problem exists where the political system of small countries only allow for citizens to invest in a government with enormous powers and with no regard to the opposition. Speaking on his weekly televised program on SVG-TV, The Law and You, issue 813, Campbell said that the political system of SVG is an all-or-nothing system which does not provide the opportunity for persons in opposition to contribute to nation building.
We have is that at any one time, persons who have the ability to make a contribution to nation building, if they find themselves in opposition, they are really wasted for 5 years. And then if governments change, those going out of government take with them their knowledge and experience, which would otherwise have been a benefit to the country. And that knowledge and experience they would have had as ministers in a former government is wasted in opposition.
Stating that there were at least 60 improvements in the proposed constitutional reform, which was denied in 2009, Campbell said that due to its rejection, Vincentians are now left with an old constitution and its weaknesses.
We spent 6 years in this country examining our constitution and the political system in great detail. And we analyzed all of its structural weaknesses. A prescription was produced that would have addressed a large number of the problems of our governance. But as I have said time and time again, and once I have breath in my body, I will continue to say, we made a fundamental decision to throw away the proposals which would have increased governance.
Referring to the present constitution, the QC noted that as it stands now, the opposition cannot even bring a motion to the House of Parliament which has financial implications, unless it is sanctioned by a Minister of Government. He further stated that should the issue continue to exist, it will cause a problem which will haunt the nation.
Whether I am here to beat the drum or not, the nation has to face the uncomfortable fact that unless we change the political system and devise a system where there can be contributions, meaningful contributions from all members of the House, rather from just the government side, we will continue to have problems, developmental problems.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines is projected to receive less rainfall over the years due to the effect of climate change, and there are several projects to be undertaken here aimed at adapting to the long-lasting effects of that climate change. In an interview with SVG-TV, environment educator Nyasha Hamilton says the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment has been spearheading several projects, including the introduction of a rainwater harvesting system on emergency shelters across St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
So what the idea for that is originally is in times of disaster, whether they're climate change related or not, that those emergency shelters will have water. Initially it's for use in the bathrooms. I think we're trying to make them to have a sterilization schedule put in place so that the water would actually be potable. But the initial intention was for toilet use, because you know that's a big issue when you go, people are at those shelters, because CWSA usually distributes potable water, so at least persons will have water for drinking. But as for water for toilet use, that's usually not an immediate priority. So we thought that would be an area to focus on.
Hamilton says her ministry is also partnering with the European Union to implement programs aimed at maximizing the use of water resources that already exist in SVG.
What it is, we had to put forward what proposed interventions we wanted, and the major one we would have done would have been some watershed management at Perseverance and Cumberland. Because you know that the water that we get in St. Vincent is surface water, so we need proper watershed management. We need our watersheds to be in good condition so that we're getting the best quality, not just the best quality, but the maximum amount of water that we possibly can from what rain happens in St. Vincent and Grenadines. So that one hasn't started yet. We've done the proposal. The proposal has been approved, but the actual work hasn't begun as yet. And can't remember the exact timeline, but I think we'll probably, if not starting work on that by this year, should be by next year.
The environment officers encouraging persons on Beckway to continue to utilize rainwater harvesting to complement water supplied by the recently installed desalination plant, and encourages persons on the mainland to engage in rainwater harvesting.
For the mainland, I'm not sure if you would remember a time when we used to actually have a lot of rainwater harvesting going on. It was before, I guess, the services from CWSA were as reliable as they are now. People used to do a lot of rainwater harvesting, but it's been something that's been shoved aside because we have reliable water from the mains now. So the intention on the mainland was to encourage people that, look, yes, we know you have your pipes, but climate change is something that is happening, and although you may not be aware, is that we're projected in the Caribbean to be receiving less and less rainfall as time goes by. And even if we do get rain, sometimes it's so intense that a lot of it just runs off directly into the sea, so that we're not collecting all of that. So that although you still have your mains fed water, you can still collect water from rainwater harvesting, whether for whatever purposes you want.
In keeping with the mandate of this country's government of seeking out opportunities for Vincentians abroad, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Trade and Regional Integration is inviting young unemployed nationals to register for the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program, or JET. Under the JET program, participants are invited to live and work in Japan as assistant language teachers for a period of 1 year, with the possibility of having their contract renewed. Applicants must possess a minimum of an undergraduate degree, preferably in education, teaching, or any other area, a valid driver's license, and a good bill of health. You can contact the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 3rd Floor Administrative Complex, at telephone number 456-2060 for further information and application forms. The ministry says application forms must be submitted to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs by February 12th this year. Kamani Williams, a resident of Camden Park, is now before the court on a charge of unlawful and malicious wounding, which is said to have occurred on October 30th last year. Reports are that on the date in question, there was a fracas between Williams and Himron Muckett, also of Camden Park, when Williams is said to have taken a knife and inflicted stab wounds to the body of Muckett, resulting in injuries. Williams appeared at the Kingstown Magistrate Court on Monday, January 4th, and pleaded not guilty to the charge. There was no objection to his bail, which was allowed in the sum of $2,000 with one surety. January 18th, 2016 is the date set for trial. And Rowan Andrews, a laborer of Old Montrose, was also charged for causing grievous bodily harm upon Jarvin York of the same address on Sunday, January 3rd, 2016. According to reports, York went unconscious after he was struck to the head with a stick during a dispute between both men. This resulted in Andrews' arrest. York is presently a patient at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital under observation. Andrews was escorted to the Serious Offences Court today before Chief Magistrate Rayshan Brown, but was not allowed to plead to the charge as it was laid indictable. Chief Prosecutor Adolphus Delplesh did not object to his bail in the sum of $6,000 with one surety. Andrews was also ordered to report to the Central Police Station on Mondays between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and not to have any contact with the victim. March 12th this year is the date set for the preliminary investigation.